Welcome back to the Habit Change series. This is week 4. So up to now, we've been talking about kind of introducing you to the idea of how your habits affect your actions and your results, and how we can start to improve the process of weight loss if we just start to understand how this, our brain, our mindset, the way we think, the way we feel, the way we believe things, affects how we act and how we can ultimately get weight loss results. So today is going to be about highlighting even further the power of your belief system in creating actual physical changes in your body. And we're going to look at some really interesting stuff today to help you understand and help you kind of highlight exactly how powerful those beliefs are, because it can be very easy to kind of brush this stuff aside and say, oh, I'll just try harder and eventually I'll get there. And kudos for having that belief. If you can do that, then that's great. But I don't know many people in this world who can get by without understanding and focusing some of their effort and energy and time on their mindset and how their mindset ultimately impacts everything else. Because unless you're some sort of Zen Buddhist master, which I certainly am not, you're just a human at the end of the day, and humans have emotions, they have beliefs, they have feelings and thoughts, and those things typically feed into our actions. And what are we a product, if nothing else, of is our actions. Okay, so have you ever heard of a concept called the placebo effect? It's quite well known, and that's the first thing we're going to talk about today, is the placebo effect. So basically what the placebo is a non-active agent that can lead to a change in how we feel. So for example, it has been shown in many drug trials and studies that people can experience an improvement in their symptoms even though the substance they are taking has no actual benefits to them. Okay, so it's a completely inert substance. It has nothing within it that's going to make a difference to that person, and yet because they're taking something, they experience the improvements that they expect to get. So very crudely, for example, in a study on arm pain, the people take the medicine to improve their arm pain, and their arm pain improves, but when in fact the medicine was nothing at all, it was just a sugar pill or something inert. Okay, so that is the placebo effect at work. It's your mindset, your brain, your thoughts and beliefs acting in a way that physically changes how you feel in response to something that you believe is being applied to your body. Okay, so there's some really cool statistics around this sort of stuff. So if you've got the time and the inclination, then definitely go and Google it, because I find it completely fascinating, because it's the exact mechanism behind how this impacts everything else, and it will blow your mind. It blew my mind when I started learning about this, and I just think that it's so relevant. It's so interesting and relevant to learn about this, so that we understand ourselves and understand what's going on in here. Okay, so I think it's something like the placebo, or a placebo, has been shown to be about 70% as effective as morphine when the person believes that what they're taking is morphine. I think they did they looked at battlefield studies and things, and people that have got really bad injuries that have had to be treated at scenes of accidents, and if there's no morphine available, because obviously it's a little bit cruel to kind of test on these people who have had accidents or like severe injuries, but in the case where the ambulance people or the doctor has said, okay, we're giving you morphine now, even though they're not, just to essentially use the person's belief system to give them a bit of pain relief, it's been shown to be around about 70% as effective as morphine itself in reducing the pain that those people feel. So in people that have had severe limb injuries, amputations and things, it's not that these people have been studied on in a controlled environment, but just anecdotally, it's been shown to be incredibly powerful. When that person believes they are taking morphine, they experience a reduction in their pain, and they can manage their injury better for that period of time. So it's just absolutely incredible. And one of the most incredible things about the placebo effect is that yes, you know, if the person doesn't know it's a placebo, you can kind of understand how the effect works. Like if you believe, you know, it's not a far stretch to believe that something can make a difference and therefore it makes a difference. You know, that I think this happens on a daily basis in a lot of people in the world. But the most interesting thing that I find about this is that the placebo effect still happens even when the person knows that what they are taking is a placebo. So essentially, they've done a study where the study participants have been given nothing, they've been told that they're taking nothing, and they still get the benefits that they're supposed to get from this nothing medication. It's absolutely unreal. Okay, so you know what is going on in there to get those positive side effects from the body, when in actual fact, in truth, the person themselves knows that they're taking a pill or they're having whatever treatment it is, and they know that it's not real. They know that there's nothing is happening to them, and yet they're still getting these amazing positive benefits from taking this nothing. So it's just unbelievable what the brain and the mind is able to do. So I really encourage you, if you do have the inclination, you find it interesting as I do, you know, do some Googling, find some research, find some studies, and you know, get stuck in, because it's just what the mind can do is incredible. The only active agent in all of these interactions is the belief system. Okay, there's you know, they're not being given medicine, they're not getting treatment. The only thing truly at work there is the belief system in here. Okay, so I hope that shows you just how powerful that your belief system, the things that you are saying to yourself on a daily basis, how powerful that can be. And you know, it's, at the end of the day, we've got to consider the flip side to this. You know, the placebo effect is one thing. You can get some amazing positive benefits from the placebo effect, and it shows how powerful it is. But what if the belief system that you have, what if the belief system isn't serving you? What if you are going the opposite way? And this is where another concept called the nocebo effect is maybe even more relevant to us right now, when we're talking about habit change and positivity and negativity and how we're feeling and the beliefs and the emotions and how they affect our choices. So the nocebo effect kind of has the opposite effect than the placebo. Okay, so it's, again, using like studies as an example, if when you're doing a clinical trial or something like that, if you say to the people, if your drug, for example, or indeed your placebo, for example, if you tell them that the pill they're taking might give them the side effects of vomiting, diarrhea, nausea, headache, you know, you list the symptoms out, and you can kind of warn them about what might happen. But when this is done with the placebo, so essentially something that they're an inert substance, again, they're taking a placebo, they're taking a sugar pill or something like that, when this is done, and when they're told that they might experience headaches, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, whatever, the big list of symptoms, they actually experience those negative kind of side effects for no reason. Okay, what they're taking, there's absolutely no reason why they should be getting side effects at all. A sugar pill shouldn't have any of those effects. So it's, again, the active agent in that interaction between the medicine and the person is their belief system. It's them believing and willing into life these side effects. So it's, you know, we've got to give some time to this idea, because if we can manifest negative side effects out of nothing, what else are we manifesting? What are we manifesting through our negative beliefs and our negative thoughts and our negative language? What suffering and what harm are we doing to ourselves if we can create an illness or an infirmity within our bodies just because we've been told this pill might cause this, even though, you know, logically there's no reason for it to that. You know, the tests that they've done have shown that the side effects are real. The people create these side effects just through pure belief. So again, I'd encourage you to look on the internet again for more evidence on this. If you're not quite sure about it and you want to look for more, you know, Google the nocebo effect, try and find some proper like studies and things that they've done on it. But there's one that I found this morning. Basically, it was a British Medical Journal study, and it was on arm pain. So they separated the people into two groups. They gave one group a sugar pill, and they gave one group sham acupuncture. So both groups believed that they were getting real treatment. So one group thought they were getting a pain medication, the other group thought they were getting acupuncture. But what they were actually doing, unbeknown to the people having the acupuncture done, is they were just they put the needle onto the skin but retract it before it touches, so it kind of feels like you're having it done, but you're not actually having it done. So when they analysed the results, the group that had the acupuncture reported less pain. So that is evidence straight away of a placebo effect. Okay, so they had a treatment, or that they thought they had a treatment, they weren't actually getting the treatment, and the side effect was that they had less pain. Okay, so their belief system, they believed that they were having something done to their body that would help, so their body got better. Okay, so that was the first part of the study. They then mixed and matched the groups over, so both groups did both experiments, and they added in the fact that there could be side effects from the treatments that they were having. And what the most interesting thing was is that the side effects that were reported by the people having done the fake experiments, having the fake treatment, were almost word for word exactly what they'd been told they might experience. So those people that experienced the nocebo effect, they manifested from nothing, from their beliefs alone, they manifested the negative side effects. That's a real study. Go and look at that. I don't know the author, I can't remember who the author was, but it was the British Medical Journal, the BMJ. So have a look at that and wrap your mind around the placebo and the nocebo effect, okay? And start to pay some heed to it, because if we can manifest physical symptoms in a study, you can guarantee this is happening to us on a daily basis without knowing about it. You know, these things are difficult to explain, they're difficult to understand, because it's very difficult to test beliefs. You know, it's all up in here. Okay, so it's not easy to test this stuff, and it's not easy to kind of grab onto it and understand it. But at the end of the day, a nocebo effect, these people, they didn't get any treatment, and they manifested positive effects and the negative side effects that they were told they might experience. So do you see the suggestive power in all of this? You know, you've got to question, what are you believing on a daily basis that's driving your behaviors, that's driving you to act in a certain way and ultimately develop these habits that either are or aren't serving you. And I'm going to guess, because you're still here on week 4 learning about this, is that your current habits aren't serving you. You know, the average person day to day around the world is living in a nocebo state. Okay, we're living in this kind of, in our own heads, we've got this toxic language going on. We've got toxic beliefs about what we're able to do, or what we should do, or what we can't do, or what we want to do but we can't get. And you know, if you allow these beliefs, if you allow this kind of nocebo state to kind of fester around you with the language, the beliefs, this kind of self-hatred, the lack of self-respect, then you're going to end up manifesting true outcomes like those people in those studies. If you are living in that state, if you're living amongst the toxicity in your own mind, if you are full of negative belief systems, if you are full of negative language, then you know, it's not a far cry to assume that, you know, after a certain amount of time, you know, even after not a lot of time, we're gonna kind of move from our positivity into the negativity, into feeling unhappy, ill, drained, fatigued, frustrated, confused, annoyed, angry. You know, these are all really common emotions to feel, and they all stem from the nocebo state of toxicity in your mindset, kind of bleeding into everything, bleeding into every thought, into every action, and bleeding into your results down the line. So tying this in with last week's video, and if you haven't watched last week's video chat yet, then I'd suggest going back there, because these tie in quite nicely together. When you exist in the nocebo state, it's very easy to kind of fall back into learned helplessness. So we talked about learned helplessness last week, and we talked about it basically being very difficult to drag yourself out of there and get yourself on the path that you want to be on, into doing the journey that you want to take to get your weight loss and your health and your energy and your confidence back where you need it to be, where you want it to be. So when you've got this toxicity going on all up in here, it's very easy to just decide that you're just going to flop back into learned helplessness and just kind of exist and fester there without having the belief that you can make any changes. So we've got to be so careful what we think, okay? We've got to be careful about the way we say things to ourselves, the way we think things, the beliefs that we choose to kind of embody, and the things that we choose to empower. We've got to be careful on these things, okay? So this, this stuff, this placebo effect, this nocebo effect, the learned helplessness, this is the underlying science and psychology behind feeling good or feeling bad. How to feel good, how to feel bad. And I'm hopefully giving you the tools and giving you the knowledge and understanding to help you move closer to making different choices, okay? To carving out and building and developing different habits, to laying a healthier foundation and making sure that you can take back the control over your health, over your weight loss, and not let this kind of, this unconscious negativity, this toxicity in your mind, not let this drive you to live in the problem state. And that's where we tend to exist when we're thinking about change. We end up just focusing on the bad stuff. We're just kind of delving deeper and deeper, digging ourselves a deeper hole by focusing on the negativity, focusing on all the things that we hate, all the things that we think need to be different, all the things that we just can't stand about ourselves, that we never come from a place of being healthy and positive and content and happy and confident. It's difficult to find those things when you've spent years living in the problem state. But at the end of the day, you can't expect to grow flowers from weeds. If you water weeds, if you give attention and water, and if you feed those negative festering weeds, they're gonna grow, and they're gonna grow over. They're gonna overspill. They're gonna take over all your positivity, all your flower bed. Okay, the flower bed of your mind. If you've done any gardening in your life, which I've done very, very briefly, weeds are bloody pesky, and if you don't keep them trimmed, if you don't kind of pull them out by the root and get every last cell of that weed out, use this to imagine how we need to pull out those negative thoughts and those negative feelings and extract those negative beliefs so we can throw them away. Okay, so you've got to start to look at it that way. And if you're living in the problem state, if you're living in this toxic nocebo kind of mindset, and the state of negativity, essentially, if you live there, what do you think your actions are going to be? If you feel bad, how do you act? Okay, I'll give you some examples. I know that when I feel bad, I quite often say mean things to myself. I quite often lash out at other people. Sorry guys. I quite often eat food because it makes me feel better. Again, it's going back to those easy to do habits that we've developed over time to make ourselves feel better in the moment. That rush of energy that we kind of have to just get out or take in. We eat, we drink, we take, we kind of numb ourselves, or we kind of lash out and do something because we're angry and frustrated and annoyed and we want things to change. But we're just festering and existing in the problem state, and we're not allowing ourselves to build a foundation of healthy, solid, confidence building, energy protecting practices. Okay, and this is brain science. Okay, this is neuroplasticity at its finest. Okay, and it's hard. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you right now. It's very, very, very hard. But when you choose to focus on health, when you can start to put the building blocks in place, you've got health, protect energy, build confidence, health, energy, confidence, we can build something that's so powerful that even when crappy things happen to you, you're no longer at the mercy of your habits, the habits that aren't serving you. We're gonna make and build and create and craft new habits that do serve you, but we can't do this unless we have a foundation to build from. Okay, if you're trying to ingrain new habits into your lifestyle, into your mind, it's going to be very, very hard if you're doing that on a negative base. We've kind of got to take a pickaxe or a sledgehammer to this negativity that we've got in our minds, you know, break apart that foundation that we've built for ourselves over the last years or decades. We've got to start to block by block, brick by brick, build that foundation in our mind where we focus on health, on being accountable, on happiness, on being driven and compliant and ticking things off day by day, saying, you know, giving yourself credit for the things that you have done, because that's where the power lies. If we don't have that, we don't have anything to go from, okay? You can't get a foothold on a crumbling building. You know, if you're trying to climb a mountain and you're trying to, you know, clamber over crumbling rocks, you're just going to end up falling straight down, okay? We've got to have a solid foundation that we can climb on, build on, and have it there so it supports us when we need it, which at the end of the day is on a daily basis. We need this in place every single day. So what I want you to do today is I just want you to take this away. I want you to make some notes. If you haven't made notes on today already, listen to it again, make some notes, and I want you to start recognizing where your toxic language and your toxic beliefs are filtering into your actions. So, you know, I think we did a exercise last week where we practiced like recognizing where we were feeling bad or mad or sad or frustrated. So we were trying to identify those emotions. So I just want to reinforce that today. I want you to start recognizing your emotions, and then B, making the connection between what that emotion does to you and what it makes you feel. You know, get a journal out. You know, we've got to be prepared to go the extra mile with this. We've got to be prepared to make some notes and do a little self-study, okay? So we've got to recognize the emotions first of all, which can take a lot of practice. You know, we quite often spend months, years and decades denying our emotions because we feel like we shouldn't have those emotions. So, you know, we know that we don't want these negative emotions, so we try and keep them inside. We try and squash them down. And when I've tried to do that in the past, you know, they kind of exploded out of me at the most inconvenient times, you know, bursting into tears, having a panic attack, you know, kind of, you know, coming to the end of your tether and shouting at someone that you didn't mean to shout at, you know. So quashing those emotions never helps. We've got to kind of allow the emotions to come out, recognize it, and start to see what you're kind of drawn toward in the aftermath of that emotion. So are you kind of drawn subconsciously toward the fridge or the TV or to your phone to do a bit of scrolling, or onto the internet to do some internet shopping, or are you drawn toward getting a beer or a glass of wine out? You know, what are the behaviors that you are drawn toward in response to the emotions that you are feeling? Okay, so I want you to really connect with yourself this week. Connect, recognize, and start to draw a line between how you're feeling and what that is driving you to do. Because if we know that, if we can recognize that, then we can start to interrupt that. Okay, we can start to interrupt it, get in the way of that, and start to build that healthy foundation where we're focusing on health, energy, confidence, and building you up so that you've got that foundation, that base in place, so that you can go from there and spring forward and get some fantastic results. Okay, so that is week 4 for you. Okay, there's a couple of weeks left, obviously, so I want you to stay tuned. There'll be a summary of what we covered today just next to this video, and I'm going to have some real good solid action points for you with some task orientated bits and bobs to do, so that you've got some homeworky bits to do as well. So make notes, do the tasks, do the homework, and really sink your teeth into this, because at the end of the day, this stuff is what's going to help you move from where you are right now, being stuck, feeling frustrated, confused, going around in circles, to freedom, to being flexible around your food, to being successful in getting the results that you want to see. So, you know, grab this, grab onto it, embrace it, and if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to get in touch, because this stuff makes me tick. I love this stuff. So if you are on board with me, then let's do this together, and let's get those results for you in your lifestyle.